Okay. The assessment, right? Before getting into assessment is a combination of three stages. As you all know, when you want to conduct an assessment, we should have the question banks getting created and approved by the respective team. And for that, the controller of examination can use the existing question bank. From the existing question bank, based on the blueprint, questions will be thrown to user when they take the exam. So that's why, right? It's a combination of finalizing the questions, creating a blueprint from the question bank, conducting assessment. So these are the stages. I'm going one by one. Even for this purpose, I have shared data sheet for you. You can practice it. So let's define this question bank creation in two stages, right? Stage one, use the knowledge based question, right? Five kind of MCQ kind of questions. Then we can also practice a skill based question, like how a programming language is getting validated or setting up inside the platform. So first I'm going to use knowledge based question bank, right? So let me use the same data sheet which has been shared to you. We can refer the assessment data. I'm just using so you can see the instructions here, also the questions. So I'm going to create a question. You can say that, okay, session one based questions from various sections of short topics from short, right? One more thing is the cool-off period. So how long the question bank is valid? You can also set the retirement period for the question bank. So if it is valid for only 1 week, yes, after that you will not be able to use it. So you can set the question bank retirement period using the cool-off period. And similarly, you can also upload images. I'm going to use the same image. And you can say this, okay, this question bank, what's the purpose of this question bank? Is for which competency we are validating the questions, right? So what's the domain? By default, it is going to be education and higher education, the subdomain. Similarly, for competency, you can say that, okay, it's on the mathematics or physics. Inside mathematics, you can say algebra, dynamics, something like that. So it's relevant to the competency for which we are setting up the questions. So that's where you need to map. And it's also possible that you can map the courses here. So from the course, if you map the course here, then you need to provide the topics and subtopics for each question. So for a demo purpose, I'm not going to use, I'm just using as a drop. Without mapping the course, I'm going to create a question. So question bank name, the competencies, here domain is going to be education, higher education, status by default draft. We will create these terminologies for you. If you have any recommendation that needs to be defined like that, just you talked about the proficiency, right? A level, learner, intermediate, expert, etc. We will also work with you, create competencies, and that will be shown to you when you start creating question bank. So question bank as template has been created. It will be in draft mode. Here you can add the questions in 3 stages, right? There are 3 ways on which you can add questions. 1, you can create questions one by one. Number 2, if there are question banks already available, which is not in retired stage or cool-off period still exists, you can copy questions from other question bank as well, or you can use a bulk upload template to upload questions into question. So I'm going to create a new question using existing template. Here you can see the different questioning types using which you can validate the level of learning for each learners, the students, right? You can use multiple choice question. You can use match the following question. You can use the sequencing questions, arrange them in order questions. You can also provide an image with options on the top so that they can drag options in a appropriate places. That's also possible. For example, it's in anatomy, right? You can provide body parts and there, and the students can drag into right image. So samples I'm talking. So you can use all these 13 different questioning types. Using it, you can validate the learner's understanding. Or you can conduct assessments at topic level, at course level, or other assessment also can be done. So here I'm going to use, everyone knows multiple choice. So I'm going to choose this multiple choice question here. You can see the parameters, right? Question name, which is internal to, it's a reference for this question, using which we can do the reference in the later stage. So this is the question name will not known to the user. Only the question text will be shown to the users. So I'm just going to use the existing one, right? Let me use the same template so that now you can also practice. So MCQ question one, let me use the question garbage collection. So we can use this, or you can copy this one and change the template, format, color code, anything is possible. You can do it, right? And then feedback. See, if you want to provide a step-by-step answer to them, then it's also possible. Or just a reference for this particular question can also be given here. See, these are the important parameters, right? Using which you can define a blueprint. So this is where, right, the blueprint, these tags or keywords will help defining a blueprint, right? So we are actually telling this question as a simple question for the beginners, right? Coming from Bloom's taxonomy. Under Bloom's taxonomy, it's actually testing the remembrance skill of a learner. Actually taking from topic, which topic in this topic. Here, since it didn't map the course, it is actually showing no topic. If you map the course, C# course, then we have created two topics. The two topics will come here. We can choose a topic and subtopic can choose. And you can also show that, okay, whether it is actually testing the skill to some extent, no. Actually just a remembrance one. So it is actually testing the knowledge part. What's the default mark? Okay, I'm giving 2 marks. Are we going to give any penalty? We can define penalty while creating the question, which can be overridden while setting up an assessment. So whenever you create a question, ensure that we are using all the parameters here, which can be overridden while setting up an assessment. We can also say that, okay, this question needs to be attended in 60 seconds. Again, this can be overridden while setting up an assessment. So we know that, okay, when person is able to comprehend the question and he can answer the question in 60 seconds, you can define it. Otherwise, leave the default parameters as it is. Then you see the options, right? So for MCQ, though other platform supports 4, our platform supports maximum 10 options. You can use 10 options, right? Using this, right? You can say all these 10 options support option 3, 4, 5, 6. Everything is available, and also correct options. So I'm just using existing one, option 1, copied here, option 2, option 3, so you can add multiple options here by clicking this plus. Again, this is also, I mean, you can do all, even you can insert image in the option. You can also provide images. You can do the formatting. Everything is possible even in the options. So, and here you need to select the right options, right? So it is the first option is the right one. So I'm checking. Okay. So this is how an MCQ questions is getting created by the professors or the lecturers. So inside the platform, this will be, we have a template for uploading bulk MCQ questions into our platform. Okay, that I will also explain. So this is the bulk upload template using which actually I am doing it now. So all the parameters that we have seen while creating question bank is mapped here. So question name, reference point, actual question, general feedback, the complexity, proficiency, taxonomy, topic, subtopic. If there is it's not mapped, DVTs, skill weightage, default mark, penalty, and the options. Finally, the correct option. So when you upload this template, automatically all the questions will be uploaded into the platform. I'm saving it.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
Say I upload like 20 questions for a topic, and
Okay.
I wish that whenever the student complete the topic, only 5 questions he should be able to attempt. And if there are, let's say, 4 students, all the questions should be different. So is there any option for that?
Let me try to understand the problem statement. So let's say you have 20 questions in the question bank, right?
Right.
So on the out of these 20 questions, you want to show five questions for all the users.
Right.
Okay. And the questions randomly choose 5 questions.
Yes.
To each student is what you need.
Yes. Yes.
That
Absolutely.
is very much possible. That's what, right? That I'm going to expand in the blueprint, right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so here, since you come through that, so here we are using a lot of parameters, right? You see complexity, proficiency, taxonomy, category, and all these things, right? Using which you can define a blueprint. Okay. So before getting into the blueprint, I just want to ensure that others understood how a question is getting added into the platform. So stage one is they can create one by one, or they can copy from an existing question bank, or they can use bulk upload template. So let me try bulk upload. Okay, that will be question MCQ. Okay. Upload. Just closing it. Uploading it. It's also possible that it may throw error. So you see 4 records inserted successfully within no time. Got it? So I'm just going see that. Okay. So there are one true or false question, on multiple select question, 3 MCQ questions added into our platform without any difficulties. You can see the questions, right? This is what we added. Second one, third one, fourth one, and true or false question. Right? You can also see that for demonstration purpose, right? I have modified the complexities and taxonomy categories, which will help us to define blueprint. So I hope now I think you will understand how you can add questions into question bank.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, please.
Sir, but in bulk upload, again, my problem remains the same, that it is accepting only in the Excel format.
Yeah, it is accepting Excel format. Just uploaded Excel only, right?
So
it's not a Word format.
Can we insert some LaTeX commands in the Excel file to represent the equation? And then can we import the bulk upload, and then we can import the questions in this? Is there a possibility?
Kadir, please.
I want to import questions which contains equations, mathematical equations, And in bulk upload, I can't do that because the file is in the Excel format.
Yeah, ma'am. We can, if it's a latex format, yes, we can upload it because behind the in the database, it's being stored as a latex format.
So then there must be some format in which we have to enter the equation in the Excel file. So that should be confirmed to us. What is the format in which we can use the equations in the Excel, and then we can use that Excel file in the bulk upload for bulk uploading thing. So that will make our problems easier.
yes, we can do that.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions from other?
Shakti, you can.
Yeah, I'm just asking that other team members. Is there any questions on uploading questions? Okay. Now, since we talked about the questioning types, I'm going to add another the skill-based questions are questions which are validating programming skills, right? So I'm going to add that questions into the same question bank, or we can create separate question banks altogether. But for the demo purpose, I'm going to create a skill-based questions inside this question bank as well. So you can see, and here you can see the skill-based questions, the basic. I'm using the same thing.
नमस्कार, मैं प्रोड्यूस बाय मदर, डायरेक्टेड बाय वाइफ, और मैं आ रहा हूँ आपके घर अपने सत्ताई एंटरटेनमेंट को लेकर 24 जनवरी से रोज रात 10:30 बजे। आपने जिस व्यक्ति को कॉल किया है वो अभी दूसरे कॉल पर व्यस्त है। आप प्रतीक्षा करें या कुछ समय पश्चात।
Sorry, there's some disturbances. So you can see, you can use this template, right? Again, as given to you to create a skill-based question. Right? So here I've already defined a question. So I'm going to use the same question here for the demo purpose. The question name, vowels in a word. You can see maximize it, and you can so write a program to count the total number of vowels in a word and also display the count of each individual vowel. Right. So the business conditions also given by the professor, saying that they have to validate these conditions while they write program. So word should contain only alphabets. The length of the word should be between 4 and 5. Word is not case sensitive and it needs to print invalid input when the input is wrong. So these are the conditions or business condition defined by the professor, and she's also providing the sample input and output. Right. So using this problem statement, the student needs to provide the solutions. Right. So here actually we are validating the attention to detail, right? Problem solving skills and critical thinking skills, right? So it's a simple problem for the learner from C#. They are going to write this program, and this actually comes under application. They are applying the knowledge, and you can say it's 60 minutes. You can save it. So once you define the problem, you see the interesting thing, right? It is actually asking to define test cases for this problem statement, right? So you can start adding the test cases one by one. Here, you can say that, okay, actually it is actually testing the attention to detail for the learner, and for that mark is going to be 5. You can define the mark. Is there penalty if test case is failed? Is there penalty is imposed? Whether you want to show this test case to the user or you can hide it. You can say that, okay, I can show it. And what is the purpose of the test case? Everything is defined here for a demo environment. So similarly, you can, as a professor, you can define test cases with the purpose, with the expected input and output. Okay, I'm just saying. We'll add 1 or 2 test cases and do that. And the next test case is going to be on the problem solving skill side. So actually we are validating the customer requirement. Word contains, and so problem solving skill 5 marks. We are hiding this test case. Then input is going to be Australia, and the expected output is going to be this one. So number of hours in Australia, 1 by 1. Number of A, E, I, O, U things counted here, and total number is also counted. So these are the 2 test cases. Let me add 1 more test case with critical thinking. So real and the US, right? Suppose a person is giving validating with only 1 letter, varied from up to 25. So critical thinking. We are also hiding the test case. The input is going to be this one. Output is one. So there are 3 test cases defined. We can continue to add test cases based on the need. And the once it is defined, we can see the test case definitions. And then here you can see, right? So single programming type, file type. And all the supported programming languages here. So in our case, it is going to be C#. So it's also for practice purposes, right? We can include all the programming languages supported by in one problem statement. The same problem statement statement can be solved in different languages. Even in Java, we can write a program for that. Python, he can write program for that. So you can add all those things into selected language. So when they load it, it will show all the languages in the drop down from which they have to solve the problem. But we are very specific since he is learning C#. It needs to be solved in C# programming language, and we are saying that. And we can also provide the skeleton code, right? So using which we can they can start the program and the actual solutions, right? Let me do the copy paste. It is already available in your template. I also provide the solution in the solution sheet. Just take this and paste it here. And I'm just validating, right, whether it is working. Because as a professor, I want to ensure that the test cases are validated. I'm defining proper test cases, right? So now the system is getting validated against the test cases defined by us. So the professor actually defining 3 test cases for the problem statements. So student has to solve it. Here it is actually missing on test cases. This is where, right, professor actually ensure that it is actually working fine, and the program which we are providing is actually validating against the problem statements. So you need to correct this one and ensure that this is actually working before it gets deployed into production. Right? I can save it. I leave it as it is. I'm saving it. So finally, so there are 6 questions added as part of this orientation, 5 for knowledge level, 1 at the skill level. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to ensure this question bank is approved, right? Send for approval. I'm again doing the self approval here. So now the question bank is in upload state. See that session 1 KBQ, which comprises of KBQ and skill based question, both are there. It is valid for only 30 days. And there are 6 questions. So before getting into blueprint, just a summary. You can create question bank. Multiple professors can create question bank for the same course for different topics. That gets uploaded using bulk upload template, or they can go and create questions whenever the time permits, one by one. Or they can also copy question from the existing question bank which was created by the university team members or the professor themselves. So these are 3 ways. The platform supports different questioning types using which you can validate the skills and also the knowledge. You can conduct tests at topic level, a course level, and ad hoc manner. Ad hoc assessment is supported by the system. And you can add questions, knowledge-based questions with options, skill-based questions with test cases. Let me stop here for 2-3 minutes. If you have any questions, I can answer, or otherwise I can move on to blueprint one. Okay, let me get into blueprints. So blueprint, right? So I'm going to define a blueprint using the template shared to you, right? So everything is there. So just to ensure that we covered the session in quick time, I'm just copy pasting this one. Blueprint name. Description and section. So skill validation. And I'm going to add one more section. Or you can even say classes. Classes, I can save and control. So we have introduced 2 sections in this question bank, and I'm going to add questions here. Here, I can say that, okay, for skill validation, I'm going to choose this question bank, right? You can see there are Bloom's application category. I'm choosing this one, select. So there are only 1 questions which is shown here and saving it. Similarly, I'm going to add one more section, classes in C# using the same question bank. So since already 1 question mapped, it is not showing here, it's showing remaining questions in the question bank. I'm choosing everything here and selecting it. And here you can see there are 3 questions in MCQ, and actually I'm choosing only 1. And MSQ is only 1, true or false is only 1. So now you can see, right, here this where, right? So you can, though the question bank contains more questions, you can restrict the number of questions here from the topic level, from the subtopic level, from the question type. So using which, right, you can define randomized questions from an existing question bank thrown to user at runtime or during the exam time.
Got it. So one another question related to this: can the answers be also randomized?
Yes, I'm going to show that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Thank you.
Also there. Thank you. So we added 2 sections, and each section is having different questions. And you can. It's also possible that you can see the weightage, right? You can provide weightage for each section. That's also possible. I forgot to explain that. Maybe I can go back and show that. So here you can provide the weightage, right? Since it's a practice, a skill-based question, we can provide 70% weightage here. For knowledge, you can provide 30% weightage here. It's also possible, right? Just next time. So once you created a blueprint, right, then you can create an assessment. Okay. Session 1 example. Okay, here. What's the blueprint we used? Programming fundamental basics. Okay. Basics. So you can say that, okay, this assessment is valid from date till date. By default, it is actually taking 1 month time, and the duration of the assessment 30 minutes, the pass percentage, and the do's and don'ts. So here you can provide the do's and don'ts to the candidate, right? So they should not go away from the browser window, and they can use the programming language. It's a combination of programming and knowledge-based questions. And so all those things, right? You can provide do's and don'ts for the user. And I mean, this is important piece of the assessment here. This you need to please understood a little bit attention required, dear professors. So this is where, right, actually we are defining the assessment or exam based on the need, right? You can enforce students to answer all the questions. Only when they answer it, the system will allow them to submit. If time elapses, automatically it will submit. So in between, they will not be able to submit the assessment. So this is the keyword. Then penalty for wrong answers. Though while you adding the question, right, you have defined the penalty, but only when you enable it here, it will get applied. Otherwise, it will not get applied, right? And you can also define a partial mark. Let's say you are having multiple choice questions, right? The options might be right. Candidate might have chosen only one candidate. Want to provide partial mark? Yes, you can provide. And there are two sections, right? You can say that, okay, only after completion of the previous section, they will be able to go to the next section. So section 1, they have to complete it. Only one, then they'll be able to go to section 2. That's the mandate section completion. This is at time slot based assessment, right? So the exam starts at exactly 2 o'clock and we finish it at 2:30. So, or you can say that, okay, you have to take the exam in 2 days time, but when you start the exam, it will lapse in 30 minutes. That's also possible. And you can say that we can publish the result immediately, or you can validate it and manually review it, and finally you can publish the result. The discussion forum, students can discuss about the exam, right, after the exam is over, if you enable it. Abhinav, you ask this question, right? Shuffling the questions and shuffling the answers. By default, our system is enabled that. We are ensuring that the options are also shuffled.
So can these be unchecked also? Or these are like by default, they will be the permanent settings?
Yeah, actually, we are ensuring that it is enabled to prevent the malpractice to the maximum extent by default. If you want, then we can do it.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And then, right, then the proctoring comes into picture, right? So just before commencement of exam, you can send a secret key to their email IDs, or right. So that secret key can be an individual key or the common key, right? It's also possible. And the enable full screen mode is restricting the users to go away from the browser that they are. So even if they do go, it will allow them for 2 times. Third time, it will automatically submit the answer by giving a warner. Even when they go first time itself, it will say warn you. You are going away from the exam browser window. Will submit it in third time, and it will show the number of time they are going. So first time, second time, third time, it will submit. And for programming kind of questions, right, it will support the copy paste. It will prevent the copy paste. So actually we are going, the person is going away from the browser, trying to get the code from the internet, but they're copying the code, but it will not allow them to copy code. Even if you code twice, third time you automatically submit. So actually we are ensuring that malpractices are not compromised. We're ensuring that the genuine exam is been conducted using these options.